What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Friday. Welcome to a new episode of Unspoken Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Tanise. What's up, man? Happy fake new year and all that, 2026 and whatever else everybody's saying. I'm going to do an episode on what I think about holidays. But anyway, what's up? So tonight's episode is the topic is Arrested Development. Yeah, boy. Somebody need to hear this. Let's get into it. Typically, when I do episodes like this, I like to give a definition so then we could have a base. Because some people got their own versions and definitions of certain things. Okay, so let's just start there. Arrested development is a psychological phenomenon in which an individual's emotional, cognitive, or social growth is stunted at a certain age, preventing them from fully maturing into adulthood. Ugh, that's probably a lot to take in. So the bottom line is an individual experienced maybe perhaps a certain trauma. Dang, what's up? Cuz, hey, what up? So basically, I feel like I understand this, but not necessarily from my own standpoint. Okay. I had a cousin that experienced double tragedy prior to his tragic death. Okay. He experienced the loss of both of his parents. And at a young age, I would say before he was 25. Okay. Um, which I believe, because me and him was real close. That was my first cousin. I believe whatever mindset he was in at the age that he lost both of his parents, he kind of stayed there. He never changed or matured or grew or nothing. He just kind of stayed in that mindset. What do I mean by that? Like his thought process, his actions, his mindset, his behavior. Okay, it was a combination of things, but I think it's easier for me to discuss now because I was on the outside looking in. You know, you grow up with your cousins and you start to look at certain things. Okay. Again, like I said, we was like this, and no, I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that he was into or believed or thought or even did for real. But I mean, we was raised family first. I don't know how nobody else's family is. I mean, I come from a big family. He was one of them people that no matter what he did, his 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 aunties, his cousins, the family period is gonna be like, yeah, that's just who he is. It wasn't nothing like, okay, at some point you start not enabling, okay? Because that's pretty much what was going on. And I'm not sure if that was a trauma response to the loss itself, okay? Um, it was hard to watch. You start seeing people like really not caring for themselves too much, okay? I started to like see him like decline, like I'm here, but I'm not really here, if that makes any sense. Okay. Um, it would be certain stuff he would say, um, just out of nowhere. And maybe this was just his mind wandering or whatever, but he would say stuff like, man, y'all get a chance to be with y'all parents. And I never had that again. And I don't like this life. And, stuff like that. And you like, well, how do you respond to that? It's not a whole lot you can really say to respond to that, especially if you haven't experienced the loss of a parent. That's hard for you to kind of explain. or even respond to when somebody say certain things to you. Um, I think us as a family, we was keeping him going, even though he felt like that. And I know I'm not the only person who heard him say certain things that would kind of like throw you off, maybe if you don't know him like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Very helpful person, down to earth person. Um, I do anything for you, but also was kind of manipulative. Narcissistic, some may say. You never know. Um, but it was crazy. I just watched him kind of just be mentally stuck in this space where it's like, man, we older and he passed away at 33 years old. So it's like at this age, if he in his 20s, I'm in my teens. Okay. Probably about 6 years older than me. So if he was 25, I was creeping up on probably 16, 15, somewhere up in there. Okay. Um, just watching him do certain stuff that was scary at times. It's like putting himself in certain positions where something happened to him. Like that kind of stuff. Like I don't know how serious people take mental health, but I'm telling you, man, last year, if that was not a wake up call to massive amounts of people who just decided to take their own life because perhaps maybe they have been asking for help or want help or just somebody to talk to or hear them out or whatever, and eventually they was like, hey, ain't nobody listening, don't nobody care for whatever reason. I read tons of stories last year and it was sad, like young people. I'm talking about like 21 or younger. And it just made me think like, dang, how many of these people possibly sustain some type of abuse or some type of traumatic trauma that caused them to just give up on themselves, on this life, whatever was going on with them, just like, hey man, it's a reality check, man. I like I said, I don't know how people feel about mental health, but I think it's serious. When you start getting to a point where you thinking about doing something to yourself or putting yourself in a position where somebody else will do it for you, you need to go talk to somebody. Seriously. Forget social media because that's just a stage for people to, I don't know. It's so many attention seeking people in this world now. I just don't feel like social media is the place for it. Like, no, you need to go seek some professional help because, yeah, you out of alignment. Something is off, and I'm not saying that you less of a person because of that. No, I feel like everybody got some type of mental health issues. Some is like minor, and some is severe. Like they need to be in a place that somebody can watch over them. You know, 24 hours or whatever, or need to be medicated, perhaps. Um, I don't know, cause I'm really against that kind of stuff. And the reason I say that is because I had a child that was on medication before for behavior issues and stuff like that. And I seen what it did to my child. So I couldn't even imagine somebody else's child or adult man, these medicines that they be prescribing for these kids that's supposed to have ADHD or defiant disorder, I mean, and because they got so many freaking names now, it's just like y'all want everybody to be like turned out on drugs. Cause I feel like that's where it start. Like if you a kid and you start getting medicated as a kid, it's probably a high percentage that you possibly might become some type of drug addict or something, because you've already developed some type of tolerance for heavy narcotics, because that's what it is. This ain't no cough syrup, this ain't no, and even those, that's why they pulled them off the shelf, because of the different ingredients in it. But still, I said all that to say, like, yo, take care of your mental health, man. It's so many different things that got somebody being pulled in so many different directions, trying to focus on so many different things. Let me tell you, man, you can't worry about no job, you can't worry about no significant other, you can't worry about your kids, you can't worry about your family, your parents, none of that. Not when your mental is not right. I'm gonna need you to put yourself first. You need to get that together. You you ain't gonna be able to help nobody. None of the people I just listed, if you off, if your mental ain't together, you, that's pouring from an empty cup. How you gonna help somebody? And I hear people be like, you supposed to help thy neighbor and all this stuff. But hey, I can't help you if I'm in a million pieces. Some people is so broken they is in a million pieces. And do you really want to take advice from somebody who ain't got they shit in order? Because what's gonna happen is, if you try to even get close to a person who broken, you gonna get cut. Is what's gonna happen, and you gonna sustain a wound that wasn't even supposed to be for you. You know what I'm saying? Just because you don't know how to get you together, so then you know who on what level, so then you can like filter the people around you, man. But it's gonna start with you. If hey, the saying is true, you hang around 9 mental patients, you gonna be number 10. Don't shoot the messenger. But seriously, on a serious note, like for real, like get your mental in order, your emotional stability in order. Um, that's got to start within, but you gotta want to do that though. Don't do it because somebody told you to do it. 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna follow through with that, because in the end, you only doing it because somebody told you to. No, do it for you, because you ain't gonna be able to grow. I just told you the definition of arrested development is you having a stunted growth. You just can't progress. You can't get ahead. You can't move. You can't grow. You just stuck. And part of the reason why most people is stuck is because they refuse change, like anything different. It's like, no, I've been doing it this way, so I should keep doing it this way. And that's delusion. Because if your way was working, then you would be progressing. Never be too stubborn where you refuse the free help. You know how many people out here charging, tell you something they could clearly tell you for free? But yet they gonna charge you for it when they could just tell it to you for free. But how many people gonna actually take the advice for free versus having to pay for it later because they ain't want to listen? Because that's what's gonna end up happening. You Whatever advice you bypass, dismiss, ignore, don't apply, or just simply just don't listen to or register, you gonna end up paying for that. It's gonna have some type of cost attached to it, some type of price tag attached to it later, because you didn't take advantage of it when it was free. I'm only telling you because I know I spent a lot of time, a lot of my life, like avoiding me, because what I've learned at this point in life is whatever we be going through, it's a rerouting for you to go back to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. Like every single thing you experience or endure or go through is literally to reroute you back to you. But the world and society then taught us to look for everything outside of ourselves. So most of us spend a majority of our life doing that. And I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm speaking for myself. I spent 20 years doing it. Maybe it was ignorance or just lack of information or immaturity, but I did. I spent a long time just running around in a circle. It's fried, but the analogy is just like a dog chasing a tail. Why? But some of us is we so numb, we so indoctrinated, we so programmed that we ignore, we avoid, we dismiss, we don't acknowledge, we ignore. I'm not sure if that's just a human thing or if it's just the brain just would rather attach to familiarity. Um, Speaking of a person with arrested development, um, man, it's so many people that have probably been through so much stuff, but they turn their pain into some type of purpose. I'm not saying how long it's gonna take. I'm not saying that it's not possible for everybody because it is, but you gotta want it though. The most important thing I learned is to stop ignoring you. It's easy to ignore everybody else. It's easy to tune out the noise, but some of us is just ignoring self. You don't care about nothing that got nothing to do with self. You just self sabotaging, and that's part of the reason why you can't grow. That might be a hard pill to swallow for some, but hey, the truth is the truth. you you want to grow, you gonna have to work on you first, so you could attract the other people that's gonna be your village. Cause all of us got born into families, but what family or village is you creating for you? It's got to happen though. If you don't care for the family you was born into, then you need to be equipped to create your own village. Some of us believe, oh, that just mean have kids. No, it don't. Cause some people will never have kids. So I hope that ain't the only way somebody think that they can create something. I know that might be harsh for some, but everybody is not supposed to be a parent. Sorry. But when I say create your village, I mean finding your people, the ones who align with your frequency, ride the same wave, carry the same vibe, perhaps believe the same things you do. You know, it's a lot of different things you could do. But I would suggest the main thing is to go find yourself. Some of us been, and I'll just say me, I've been numbing myself for a long time. And people be like, I know myself. No, you don't. If you ain't never really fully detoxed, and I'm talking about parasites, bad food, bad eating, poor diet, smoking, drinking. If you ain't never just detoxed from everything and did a full body cleanse, you really don't know yourself for real. It took me a minute to actually like see that, understand that, acknowledge that, like, yo, what is it that you avoiding so much that could be so bad that you would rather just be intoxicated, numb, suppressed? Like, why? I think this is the first New Year probably in a long time since I didn't party or drink or no. I just didn't have no desire to. Not that I couldn't or cool, man. Like, at what point is it that you stop trying to run from yourself because you can't? And most of the stuff we using to suppress and it when you come down off of it, when it's no longer a entity in the equation, then what? All of the thoughts and the traumas and all the pain or whatever it is that you going through, it's still gonna be there because it's part of you. You know, I tell people, hey, listen, man, you gonna have to get to a point where you love yourself, all of you, like the bad parts, your flaws, the stuff you did, you probably ashamed of, the different scenarios and experiences you done had, and like it's not gonna change. It ain't gonna go nowhere. It's still gonna be present. It's a part of you. At some point, you gonna have to forgive yourself. Like, I did what I did in the season where I had whatever information I had. And that's what the move or the behavior or whatever was based off of, the information I had at the time. But when you got better information, when you know different, why? Why would you continue to do the same stuff? That's the definition of insanity. To keep doing the same stuff over and over and expecting a different result. Yes, you definitely gonna drive yourself crazy. The best way you can free yourself, your mental, your demons, as people say, is to get to know them. Yeah, yes, I said it. Get to know your demons. How else is you supposed to attack or resolve the problem, which is the demon, and let certain people tell it, if you don't get to know it? We talk so much about what we need to be doing, but nobody is actually doing the work. Start figuring out the different mental parts of you by name, because maybe they got, people be saying everybody got multiple personalities or whatever. I agree with that to a certain extent. But I suggest you get to know those personality traits or demons or thoughts or whatever. You better get to know them so you'll be able to know how to handle them. It's a part of you. Maybe you got a bad habit of just being negative all the time. You can counteract that by just start speaking positive to yourself. Because the crazy part is we want to quit certain things, but we don't have nothing ready to put in place with the habit or whatever that we vice that we trying to quit. You can't just quit something and not have nothing in place for it. It don't work like that. I know. I know somebody told us it did. They lied. They lied. Maybe you could work on your attachment issues or abandonment, trust factors that you got going on by starting to trust yourself first. A lot of us don't trust ourselves. And maybe that's why we make the decisions that we make, because some of it is based off of fear. The what ifs. Well, if you don't ever do it, you ain't gonna know anyway. So the only way you could conquer fear is to push past it, through it, do the thing that you scared to do. You know, not. I'm just only speaking from experience. Whatever it is that you need to do, everybody is in that new year, new me, this and that. But when it comes to your mental health, that's a constant thing. You cannot do one thing and it's gonna sustain your entire lifespan. No, it don't work like that. It's something you gotta show up prepared to do every day, keeping yourself in alignment, stopping yourself from returning back to whatever it was you was on before. That's a daily thing. It's not going to end. So most times people avoid working on themselves because they like, oh, it's gonna take too long. Hey, about as long as it took you to create all these terrible habits or vices or demons or whatever it is you're going through. Hey, it took you a minute to develop that. It's gonna take you a while to rewire and unlearn some of the stuff you done put down. Perhaps maybe some people should have wrote some stuff out in their life in pencil instead of ink pen because you can't erase it. That might have went over somebody's head. That's okay. It's all good. I'm just simply saying. Sometimes in life we write an ink pen, you can't erase it. What you gonna do? Rip the paper out, ball it up, throw it away, you can start over again. You really think you could do that in real life? I don't know. I just figured somebody needed to hear it today. Like, man, put you first. If you gonna do any changing for the new year, new you, whatever it is you telling yourself, hey man, put you first. I'm gonna keep saying it because, hey man, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep choosing me. You can't even get upset for the people who don't choose you when you don't choose you. Because a person gonna treat you how they see you treat yourself. I know somebody lied to you about that too. Boy, I'm telling you. Hmm. Hopefully somebody got something from the conversation. Um, Man, it's so much more life left to live. Don't give up yet. Whatever is going on, you don't have to keep fighting. Keep showing up. I know some days it suck. You be like, man, I'd rather not. But like saying those type of things to yourself, that's what's stunting your growth. Cause subconsciously your brain believes what you say. So that's why they say be careful. These two things right here and what come out of them. Cause you essentially start programming yourself based off of what you say. And have a different life, then speak that over yourself. Not just one day, like daily. Make it a mantra. Well, what old girl say? Affirmations. Hmm. Watch how lighter you start feeling mentally though when you start like unpacking. Cause I think that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They don't want to unpack none of the stuff that's in this bag that they done accumulated just walking this life. You start picking up everybody else's shit. That's what be in your bag. Yeah, some of it belong to you, but some of it belong to other people you didn't cross paths with. Maybe it's your family or your kids or your parents or old relationship or something. But you start realizing when you unpack, like, man, almost a half of this bag ain't even none of mine. So you walking around this world heavy as hell, and for what? I got to that point one day. I was like, man, this bag heavy as hell. I ain't sit this bag down for real. Like, let me see what's in this bag for real. Boy, oh boy, was I surprised when I started unpacking. Boy, I'm like, yo, how you still carrying that? Maybe because we spent so much time trying to avoid whatever then went down. So, the theory is out of sight, out of mind. And I'm trying to tell you, the body, it don't forget nothing, man. Auntie, hey, what up, though? The body, that's where everything is stored at. I don't know why your chest tight or your head hurting or your body tense or sore, because that's where all the trauma and emotions is stored at. Whatever you don't get out, it's gonna find somewhere to go. Hence the pain or the pressure. That's why. Now that should make a whole lot of sense to a lot of people why one of the number one killers is heart attacks and strokes, because majority of stuff people ain't never let go. They ain't never sit down. They ain't never unpacked. They ain't never acknowledged. They just kept going. And I know now like that is a trauma response. I know people say, y'all, you just gotta keep pushing. No, because eventually you're gonna burn yourself out. I don't know if anybody familiar with the story last year, the one lady who owned a successful food business or something, and she had been complaining about being tired every day for like a week straight to like her employees and people at her business. And she said she was going to take a couple days off just to get some rest. And she went home, went to sleep, and did not wake up. you at risk for stuff like that, because the body is gonna tell you what you need. If you need rest, okay. If you need vitamins, okay. The body is like a, a real system for real. And everything work hand in hand. Like none of your body parts could function properly if certain things is missing or off or deficient. No, you're gonna have an imbalance. And maybe that's what it is. Arrested development is an imbalance of your different parts of your brain after certain things occur. So it's like a disconnect go on and you just never recover. You know how your computer shut down and be telling you like update and don't turn it off until it's complete. Perhaps that's what goes on in a person's mind that suffers from arrested development. It's a disconnect somewhere. And maybe the person just never find out or attempt to repair or plug in whatever is disconnected. That's something to think about right there. Maybe we all should be finding time to disconnect. TV, social groups, social media. I'm sure that would help because a lot of us is overstimulated anyway. I know y'all don't want to hear that. If you're anything like me, keep your phone in your hand. But if that's what you're gonna do all day, I hope you're being productive. But we overstimulated. It be too much stuff going on. The brain can only focus on one thing at a time, and here we is trying to be programmed to focus on 50 things at once. You can't. Well, yeah, I think that's some type of mental warfare by itself to try to convince mass amounts of people, hey, focus on this and focus on that and focus on this too. And don't forget that. No, it wasn't meant for us to operate like that. It's like a computer. This is how they trying to line us up. Robots. And we a third of the way there, if not more already, because we codependent. I did an episode on if we codependent on cell phones, and we are. A lot of us don't even remember people's phone numbers by heart no more because the phone remembers everything for us. We ain't even got to use our brain. Mm, that's a harsh reality right there. I suggest that we unplug for a little while. Maybe that'll help you start in 2026 to unplug from a lot of stuff that's taking up space in your mental, and it's causing some disruption, and it absolutely is not serving you, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish or whatever goals you just set or whatever it is you're trying not to do no more. Perhaps you need to disconnect from everything for a while. It's okay to isolate for a little while, and not for long periods of time, but for a little while. It's okay. I once disconnected from social media for 2 years. I don't know if people thought I fell off the face of the earth or what happened, but yeah, I get like that sometimes where I'll be like, I can't. I need to disconnect because it's so much information being crammed in your head at the same time. It's a overload. It's a burnt out feeling. I just hope everybody figure out how to prioritize their mental for 2026 and give yourself whatever it is that you lacking. Instead of you waiting on somebody to give it to you, you give it to you. Because some of us we hanging on by a thread, man. And that's not being funny or nothing. Some of us is struggling. Um, yeah, I hope that somebody got something from this conversation. I absolutely enjoy like learning new things and putting it into perspective of the experiences I've had thus far. Like, yeah, it ain't nothing like learning something new. You should be doing that every day anyway. But if you just so happen to just be popping in and miss the episode, make sure y'all go follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. My link is in the bio, man. I appreciate everybody that tapped in, commented, told somebody, gifted. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. I want y'all to meet me back here on Tuesday at 11 a.m. for a new mini episode of Unspoken Truth Podcast. Until then, I'm out of here, y'all.